Alright, so I want to do a quick video on a '07 Nissan Murano. I got to noticing today when I actually drove the vehicle that my wife had told me that the vehicle didn't seem to be accelerating properly. So what I did, just doing a quick test drive, the RPMs were about at 1500 and I felt the engine kind of slip. And instead of the RPM slipping going revving up the RPMs, it actually went to 0 for a moment, and then when the transmission and engine kind of coordinated again together, it started pulling and I was able to accelerate. But doing some research, I thought it might have been something with a CVT, but after cutting the vehicle off and turning it back on, the engine light came on, so I got that checked, and it threw a code P0340, I believe. That's actually the rear cam position sensor. So on the Murano, it's actually a lot easier to get to. I saw a video someone did, I guess it was on the Quest, that had a lot more work to it than this. But essentially with the Murano, you pull the appearance cover off with 4 bolts, and that's really it. If you need to get to the rear bank sensor, it's right there. So you can see that. What I did was actually take a 90-degree screwdriver, and you can push in the little tab. You can stick your finger in there right at the end and you can feel that little springy push tab. Push that in, and I actually used a regular screwdriver at the top of the sensor. Let me see if I can get that in there. And actually just kind of turned it clockwise to push that sensor off. And of course now it's already loose. So at this point, we can just reach in there without pulling the MAF airflow and all the air cleaner stuff. And that connector is loose. So at this point now all we got to do is just work in a 10mm. Let me get down to where my finger is. There we go. That 10mm nut right there, and just take that off, and we can put the new sensor in. Now again, this is for the 0340 code, which is the back cam position sensor. There's also one in the front. I have not actually worked to locate it because I know my error in particular was for the rear sensor. So if I do have the other error come up down the road, I'll make another video on that. But that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to replace that. I've got the new part from Nissan. It's about $180 with tax and everything. So just going to put it in the same way and hook the electrical connection back in. And of course we do take the battery terminal off before we get started, as with any electrical work. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and give this a shot, and I'll pick you back up. All right, so I got the old sensor out. There's a good bit of oil residue and so on this one. The new one went back in place well. Once you get that 10mm nut loosened a few turns, you can just reach in there by hand and screw it back in. So I've got that done. I'll go ahead and just plug the connector back in. And you can hear it snap in place real good. And we'll tighten this up, and we'll go ahead and get this guy ready to test once we get the battery terminal back on. All right, so I went ahead and put back on the cosmetic cover. Essentially the other 3 cosmetic cover Allen wrench nuts are real easy to get to. The one at the bottom down here is not. I actually used a small flathead to just kind of thread that in and get it close. And then actually use the flat end, or excuse me, the longer end, to go ahead and tighten that up. But at this point, ready to test the vehicle. Unfortunately, my battery terminal decided to kind of snap on the end when I tried to tighten it up, so I'm gonna have to get that replaced before I'm able to test it. So just waiting on some tools to get that knocked out, and then we'll pick you back up when we drive. So I just want to do a tail end of the video with the cam sensor issue. Got the cam sensor replaced, and as you can see, the check engine light's going away, and the car's running great. Just take it for a quick spin. but did not have to reset the engine light. Apparently when the problem's resolved, and I went ahead and of course had the power cable disconnected in order to do the work. When I connected everything back up, the check engine light just stayed off, and everything is running great. RPM's accelerating as normal, and life is good. So I hope this helps you guys, and if you have the same problem, this should give you some information to go on. Thanks. Like and subscribe if you would, and have a good one.